All right. Hey, y'all. Okay, so look, I want to talk to parents, us parents. Not everybody, just whoever, some of us who will listen. And mostly just to myself. Because I'm gonna watch this down the line, and this is a message to myself as well. We are a product of our environment. We are truly. A lot of us was raised on poverty. We was raised on struggles. So we are embedded to think that who we are is because we struggled. Who we are was because of poverty. Who we are was because we didn't have all the things that we wanted, or whatever the case may be. And it's so funny because when I was growing up, and me and my husband talk about this all the time, but when I was growing up, there were some kids who I went to school with who parents had, really nice jobs and so on and so forth. So those kids always had, the nice shoes, the nice clothes. They always had the cars early on. They always had, they just had a better life than a lot of us other kids who parents, wasn't financially in that position to do so. And when growing up as kids, you always felt like, they thought they was all that, or, envious. I mean, that's what it was. We were envious of those kids because they had a better life than you had. So you grew up wanting these things, seeing these other people with things. I don't know. You may have been one of those kids who was meaner to the kids because they had something better. I mean, or you could have just been one of the ones who was friends with the kids who had something better, so you benefit from it. Whatever the case may be. It was just always, and y'all, I'm extremely ashy, so bear with me because my child about to bring me some lotion, and she must have been asleep because she look a mess. Anyway, so we grew up with those. Thank you, my love. And okay, let's go ahead and sit down. If you would like, y'all, I'm telling you, I was about to run to the store, and this message set on my heart, so I was like, let me go ahead and get this out. But so you grew up around the kids who had a better life, and you can say you didn't, but for the most part, unless you was friends with them and you benefit from them, you was envious of the life that they had. So you knew that's how it was when you were growing up, and you knew that. I'm pretty sure you see the way your life is now. You work hard. If you're working at a 9 to 5, somebody big ass cat is in my backyard. Look at him. Now, if he get through that little open space, I know some. But I'm sorry, y'all. He is. Look at this.
That's why I was working
there. See, look at there.
They did it.
Cat by girl. Y'all, I'm gonna stay in this truck. He got me messed up. I won't go out to play with him. But anyway, I'm sorry. But so you seen them growing up in that type of way. So so as an adult, you know what? Scratch all that. Let me just talk about me. I saw kids growing up and had a better life. And I was like, dang, family members, whoever it was that had a better life. And I was like, dang, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wish I had that. And I knew my parents did the best that they could with what they had. But it was like, oh, I wish I had that. And I didn't. So when I got older, and my whole thing, my mindset was not so much as to go to college, because, and even now I still feel like college is not the only answer. College is just not, I mean, if you go to college, you go to college. If you don't, you don't. I like the way the sun was up. It had my light looking better. It keeps going up and down. But anyway, so but I felt like as soon as I got old enough, I needed to work because I needed money, because I needed transportation, because I needed this, And so my mentality was a struggle mentality. Like, as soon as I got old enough, I wanted to work. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. I had kids. I had to provide. So my whole adult life has been working, struggling, trying to get something better so I can give better to my kids and whatever the case may be. And so now that I'm older and I'm you're studying for different things, trying to elevate my life and all these different things. I started late, but I started nonetheless. But now I'm looking at all these things and I'm like, dang, I'm doing the same thing my parents did. Again, not saying there was anything wrong with it, but my parents was not able to provide me a better life. I'm not providing my kids a better life because they're growing up with the same mentality that I had. They're growing up like, when I hear my daughter talking, she's like, oh, I need to get a job, and she's 15. Oh, I need to get a job, I need to do this, I need to get a job and do that. And it's not me saying that it's anything wrong with kids wanting to work at a young age. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with them having work ethics and things like that. But it's a line between having them have exposure or having them wanting to just want to work because they're like, oh, I see my mama grinding, I want to grind so I can have better, versus, oh, I can't get the things that I want, or I don't have the money, or all I see is my mama working and struggling, so I feel like that's what I have to do as well. It's a difference in that. You know, the kids who had the opportunity to go to college and do all those things in life, they were able to go to college. They were able to put aside working so hard because they had that supportive parent. Not saying everybody, but some people was able to do that differently. And so now at the age that they are now, they're making a more passive income. They're not working as hard as the next person or as I had to work, because I did not get a chance to, complete school. And I did not get a chance because I had to work and I had to do this and I had to do that. And my mom, and I love her to death, but she was just like, you worrying about going to college, you need to be getting a job type of mentality. And that was a mentality I had my whole adult life, was you worrying about this, but you need to work so you can do that. And so what I would do is when stuff came out, like, I was like, man, I don't want my kids to ever feel the way I felt growing up. So it was like, okay, when this stuff came out, let me buy them this, let me buy them that, let me buy that. And people be like, folks will always tell me, you spoil your kids, you spoil your kids, you spoil your kids. And I didn't understand then what I was trying to say, but I will always say it's not so much as me spoiling. Let me back up. I think, my personal opinion is, spoiling is when you don't discipline your kids, when you're giving your kids incessantly, but you're not teaching them anything behind it. So what I am working on now is, because I do think that my kids are a little privileged, they're a little spoiled, but what I am doing now is that now that I'm learning so much and I'm doing so much, I am trying to open up doors and avenues so that they can learn the same thing, so they can learn the value of $1, not so much as just I want $1. But people equate you trying to expose your kids to a better life to you spoiling your kids, and that's absolutely not true. Why would you want your kids to go through the same feelings you had as a child when you couldn't get anything? Why would you want your kids to go through the same thing you went through as a child, when by the time you got your first cell phone, you just thought it was everything under the moon? I don't want my kids feeling like material things are so important, and they don't feel like that because they've always had material things. Because in my mind, when I grew up, I felt like my accomplishments were tied to me having material things because I didn't have those when I was younger. So I don't want them to make those same mistakes. I want them to understand that when they say successful is not living an average life that their parents live. Successful is being able to afford a Tesla, being able to afford a big house, land, investments, pay everything you need to do, and still go out there and support other people and give to charity and do whatever you need to do. And that's, to me, that's what success is, and that's what I want them to learn. I don't want them to have the same mentality that I had growing up. I don't want them to feel like, oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead. No, because damn it, you gonna die. You gonna die earlier than you need to die. You don't need to have that mentality. Do you know how stressed out? I don't know what y'all call my generation, 34, 35. I don't know what we're called, but when I go on Facebook, when I go on social media, I see so much stress and anxiety and depression and mental instability from people my age because we're fucking struggling. It's hard out here. It's stressful out here. And you should not want your kids to go through the same thing. I don't want my kids to know what it feels like to not be able to pay a light bill. I don't want my kids to know what it feels like to make payment arrangements. I don't want them to know how it feels for their bills to go off. I don't want them to know how it feels to have to get utilities in other people's name. I don't want them to know how it feels to go through any of the things that I went through as a child or I went through as an adult. I don't want them to go through that. That's unfair to my kids. My job is not to buy them everything they want, obviously. My job is not my job is to teach them better so that they can be better than me. I want my kids absolutely to be better than me. I want them to I want my daughter's about to be 18 years old in a couple years. By the time my daughter is 18 years old, I want to be so successful in my life right now that she is just eager to pick up what I'm doing and keep going. If she doesn't want to go to college, damn it, she ain't got to. If she doesn't want to work a standard 9 to 5, I don't want her to have to. You know, my mama worked her. Lord, she worked so hard, y'all, her whole freaking life, and tearing her body down, working for somebody who wouldn't even blink an eye if something happened to her. And then when she got too sick to work that job, she still worked for somebody doing stuff, you know, I doing other little jobs and stuff, trying to bring an income in. I don't want that for my kids. I don't want to be 45, 50 years old working a 9 to 5. I don't want to be 45, 50 years old rushing to work because I don't want to be late. I don't want to be afraid to call out because I don't fucking feel good. I don't want that. So why would I want my kids to want that? So yes, I will. If the society want to deem spoiling your kids is letting them have the newest iPhones or buying the electronics or whatever the case may be, then you know what? Fuck it, I'm spoiling them. If buying your kids cars at a young age is spoiling them, well, might as well be spoiled, because I want them to have these luxuries. I want them to be exposed to the things that I could not be exposed to. I don't want something as simple as some guy buying my daughter a purse to, oh my God, he bought me a purse. No, baby girl, you're going to be in a position at a young age where you can buy your own. By the time she turned 18, I want her to have a bank account to the point where if she want to go to school, I can pay for my own school. If you want to go and get an apartment and do this and do that and figure out whatever it is that you want to do, I want her in a position at 18 that she can go ahead and do that. And a lot of times, because we didn't have it growing up, because we don't have it right now, we want to judge other parents when they do those type of things. I see, and it's mostly in a Black community. I love us to death, but it's mostly in our community, because like in the neighborhood I live in right now, there are mixed race, you know, so it's a lot of different, but you know, I was riding coming home the other day from work, and I seen one of the family, and as a matter of fact, this was a Black family, and I guess they had just bought one of the kids a car or something like that, because they had the little bow and it was outside and everybody was all happy. I actually forgot to tell my child about that, but they were all happy with the new car and whatever, and the kid looked real young, and I was like, dang, that's dope. Like, I want to do that for my daughter, not because I want to spoil her, but because I want her to be exposed to these things, listen, I want her to have the best right now so that she expects the best in life. And because she's expecting the best, she's going to do the best. I want her to have the mentality, and obviously exposing them to things also means exposing them to teachings. Like you have to be able to teach. And that's why, you know, even though I have all these other things going on, like I'm writing a book and I'm doing all this stuff, I'm stepping back and I'm studying, and I'm studying things that I should have studied a long time ago, but now I'm doing that as well, because I want to be able to teach them not only, yes, it's okay for you to have the best, but this is why, and this is how you keep it, and this is what you need to do, because I want them to be to the point where, because they're so used to having the best, they're going to work just as hard to keep it. I'm not saying that kids shouldn't work hard. They just shouldn't have to work as hard as we did. I don't want my kids to bleed. I don't want my kids to sweat. I don't want my kids to cry just to have a little money in the bank. You know, that whole saying where, you know, they like, oh, well, you know, I was bleeding sweat too, whatever the little saying. I don't want that for them. Okay. I want you to have passive income. I want you to work in a job where not necessarily a job, but I want you to work in a field or have a career in life that as a young age, she's making passive money. You know what I'm saying? Whatever job that may be, it may be something like, you know, when I was younger, I got my insurance license. One of the things that I regret was that I did not continue into that field. Yes, selling insurance can be very difficult and stressful, whatever the case may be. But that field at the young age that I was when I got my license was probably the easiest. Y'all, I know this mail lady did not just move she literally just moved like 2 steps to drop off these packages. She could have walked that. But anyway, I don't want my kids to to have to work a job where they working so hard and then something happens and that they get fired, or the job, whatever happens, and they're no longer working there, and now they struggling like, oh my God, what am I going to do? No, they need passive income where they don't have to work that hard. I want them to spend less time doing the mundane tasks that they have to do to get the money, and more time enjoying life, because we don't enjoy life. I didn't enjoy life. I'm about to be 35 years old, and I can't tell you a time where I fully celebrated my birthday and enjoyed the celebration. I can't tell you a time where I was not stressed out in life. When I think back to my pregnancy, when I was pregnant with Carter, my whole pregnancy I was stressed the fuck out. My whole pregnancy. So when I look at it, I'm like, hell, well, I guess I was going to go through, lose them or whatever the case may be, because I wasn't healthy. I wasn't mentally healthy. I wasn't physically healthy. I don't want that that trickles down to everything. That's just like I say all the time, I want to lose weight. I'm going to go and pay for it. I ain't got time. I'm going to pay for it. What is that teaching my kids? It's teaching my kids that it's okay to be overweight. It's teaching my kids that it's okay that they don't have to work hard. No. So you know what? I'm going to get out here and I'm going to do the work. Now I ain't saying then I ain't gonna pay for some shortcuts. But what I'm saying is, I'm not gonna be the person that's just preaching this. I'm gonna practice this. These are the things that I want them to grow up to do, because they need to have a better life. I want my son to not have to I want my son to not feel like because he didn't have certain things, or because he didn't do certain things, or her because they didn't have certain things, or whatever the case may be, that this is a define of what their life is going to be like. Nah, I want them to have the best. Me and my husband talk about all the time, like how, when we see other kids that's the same age, when we were kids then, but they were same age as us, be so successful in life, regardless of whatever it is that they doing, regardless if they started and it failed, or if it's just a small, business, or whatever the case may be. When I see that, we be like, man, dang. And then we, before we used to say, well, that's because they had a better, childhood. Their parents understood what I'm understanding now then, and they gave them a better opportunity. But no, that's true. They did have a better opportunity, but also they understood those people. Like, when I see people, Ebony Brown. And I call her name because I recently seen that she started this store, Heaven Jewels, I think it is. I don't want to say the name wrong, but I see she recently started showing. I was like, yeah, that's dope. And I think she's pregnant, but I see she started. I'm like, yeah, that's dope. Like when I see people on Facebook who's doing something, who's starting something, I'm like, man, why wasn't that me? Like, why am I not starting them? Why I'm not doing anything? And that's because I'm holding on to that struggle mentality that I grew up with. Because why not? Why not go out and do things? No, I did not have the same childhood or the same upbringing as some other people had. No, I may not have had the same opportunities afforded to me, but I know it now. I know now that credit is important. I know now that these things are important. So now I need to set my kids up so that they don't have to learn this the hard way, because that defeats the purpose. As a parent, yes, you're supposed to provide a roof over their head and take care of them, and that's it. And then you give them the tools to learn. But in the tools that you're giving them, make sure you're giving them the right toolkit. Don't give them that poverty bullshit that we grew up on. They don't need to know that. I can't stand to hear people say, oh, well, there's somebody out here that got it worse than them, so they should be appreciative. You know what? I used to be that person. That's why I can't stand it when people say that. But no. I want my kids to have enough money where they can go drop a bag on this car Tesla. That's because I want a Tesla, so I keep saying that. They can go drop a bag on a Tesla and then still go drop a bag on some charity, or do something for the homeless, or do something for the kids in Africa. That's the mentality I want them to have. This is crazy, because we are trying to program, and then we're trying to program the kids to have the same lifestyle that we have. And I don't think we're doing it consciously. I think it's subconsciously. I don't think we realize that that's what we're doing. Y'all, this son is just doing what it want to do. I don't know. So my light going in and out, but we want them to, we're not teaching them to have, or showing them how to do it better. I don't want my kids to go through the same struggle that I did, period. And they won't, period. Unless something happened to me before I can make it to where I need to make it to. Because I'm sitting here kicking myself now, because I'm just now realizing this. I'm just now realizing that I am not putting them in place to do that. I'm like, okay, I go to work, they see I work, that's all they need to see. As long as they know that they need to work and they need to pay their bills and they need to do this and do that. So that's what my kids need to learn. No. I'm teaching them to be stressed the fuck out like they mama. Because I'm stressed the fuck out. I'm teaching them to be unhappy with a 9-to-5 job because I'm unhappy. Not saying that I hate my job, because I absolutely love and appreciate it. But what I'm saying is, everybody is not. Some people are okay. Some people are cut out for it. Not saying there's anything wrong with that. There are some people who are okay with working a 9-to-5. They're okay with they started business. They started things also on the side, but they feel more comfortable in that 9-to-5. That's okay. But that's not me. And it stresses me out. And I'm so, and and things like that, because I'm like, I know that there's a calling on my life that I should be doing something more. I know that there's a calling. There's something I can be doing better. People, my whole life, everybody, and especially older people, but my whole life, people always came to me to talk. It was always, whether it was friends or it was family, I was always the person that people talked to, that wanted to unburden themselves with. They wanted to get advice or whatever the case may be. I'm still that same person. When I'm talking to people off this camera, when I'm at work, whenever I'm as a supervisor, when I'm talking to my agents, whatever the case may be, I'm always trying to give you, even and people, if you know me personally, you'd say, oh, you be negative, Caprice. I'm very pessimistic. Okay, I'm a very pessimistic person, and that's because I went through a lot in my life that I shall not disclose, but I went through a lot. And so because of that, it made me jaded. But even with that being said, I can still look at you and your situation and try to give you a more positive out. So I know that there's a calling. I know there's something I need to be doing, and I know it's something with this mouth, because what I can always do is talk. If I can't do nothing else. So I know that it's something I need to be doing, and I'm just now realizing that I need to figure that out. And I need to step out in there, because y'all, somebody are talking about me because my nose is itching. Ain't that what they used to say? When your nose be itching, somebody talking about you. But I know it's something else that I need to be doing, and I just want to make sure I'm doing the best as a parent to provide. So I said all this to say, this is the conversation you're going to get from me every single time you tell me I'm spoiling my kid. If you think that I'm doing too much for them, or if you think I'm giving them too much, well, guess what? I don't care. I don't care what you think, because I am determined to expose them to as much as I can, to set them up for as much as I can, so that they can be great, because they deserve that. Because they deserve that. They didn't ask to come here. It wasn't their fault. I didn't ask to come here. It wasn't my fault that my parents wasn't financially in the place that they needed to be when they had me. And it's not my kids' fault that I wasn't financially in the place that they can have me. But what is my fault is that I know that I have them, and I know that there's some things that I could be doing better, and I choose not to do it, because I'm so complacent in this struggle, this poverty mentality that I have. I'm so complacent there that I'm not trying to do better. And it's not your fault. You may not know that that's what your mentality is, but ask yourself, whenever you get ready to buy the kids, what's your response? When you see other people doing stuff for their kids, what's your response to that? If your response to that is, well, I grew up without this and that, and I'm fine, okay, you might need to reevaluate. Because just because you were fine growing up without it, don't mean that your kids should be. Just because you are okay with not having something right now, don't mean your kids should be. But anyway, y'all, that was my rant for today. I'm actually going to do, I think, a podcast on it, and I might even open it up to a live, because this is something that people need to talk about. It's something I get a lot. I know it's a lot of times, people I know that'll be like, oh, you do too much or whatever. And you know what? Before I end it, let me just say this, because what and this is not me being defensive at all, because, I'm going to do what I'm going to do anyway. But even that's like my brother said, my husband sometimes said, a lot of people say it all the time, like, I do too much for my kids. And let me clarify. I do think my kids are spoiled a little bit. And when I say that is because before I realized what I realize now, my mentality was just, let me give them what I didn't have. What I wasn't doing was giving them what I didn't have, but also teaching them what I didn't know. Okay, you better say that thing, baby. That was a word. I was giving them what I didn't have, but teaching them what I wasn't teaching them what I didn't know. And so, and because of that, they were more expected than they needed to be. But with that being said, I'm not going to change anything, because I'm still going to do my best to give them everything that I did not have, but I'm also going to teach them everything that I didn't know. And so that is what I'm working on now. But, let me say this. My daughter, because she's the one that I think everybody think I spoil the most. Actually, it's probably she thinks my son is, but whatever. But let me take my daughter. So my daughter always have the newest phones, just about. Because what we do is every time I buy a new one, which if you know me, know I probably buy a new one every year. But every time I buy a new phone, she always gets my phone. So she always is up to date with phones. She's always up to date with electronics or whatever the case may be. If she says she wants some Jordans, if my daughter asks for Jordans, guess what? She's gonna get Jordans. Now let me say this: my daughter rarely ever asks for Jordans. I think it's only maybe one time she was at I forget how old she was. It was her birthday, and the only thing she wanted was these particular Jordans. So yeah, I got her those Jordans. When we talk about Christmas and birthdays and stuff like that, it's me who go out and get these phones. My daughter is not asking for the phone. She asked for some AirPods, but that was it. And she would have took basic AirPods. So yes, I went and got her the newest AirPods because that's what I wanted to do. My daughter doesn't ask for Jordans all the time. She does, like, this is the type of person she is. She comes out and this, again, me watching this video, once I watch this going back, is checking myself. I say, oh, you so spoiled, you so this. But when I think about it, she's really not. My daughter shops at Shein. She shops in Walmart. She shops in Forever 21. She shops in the way I shop. Like the way I shop a lot. I buy clothes a lot. But I only buy them alive they're on sale. I only buy them alive there's amount of money. So she will go and put like $200 worth of clothes in the shopping cart at Shein or something like that. But by the time I go back so I can purchase the cart for her, she done took majority of that out, and now she only got like 3 or 4 items in there because she was like, oh, it costs too much, oh, this costs too much, or that costs too much. So she's definitely not that type of person who's like, oh, I gotta have Jordans, I gotta have bundles. Like she does her own hair. We've been doing our own hair forever. So whereas you may go out there, who for those who may think that I spoil my kids, you may go out there and spend hundreds of dollars or whatever the case on your hair. My daughter does it on her own. She never asked to go and get her hair done. She does her own nails. She does her own feet. We say all the time, we'll be like, oh, we want to go get our nails done. And sometimes she'll be like, I just want to go and let somebody else do them. And I'd be like, oh, girl, you can do your own nails. You're just being spoiled. No, what the fuck? What's wrong with me? No, now I have to check myself, because what I'm telling her is it's not okay for you to want to pamper yourself. That's what I do. I don't go pamper myself. I never take time for myself. I never want to spend money on myself unless it's something on sale. And I'm teaching her that same mentality, and that's not what I want to do. So now I have to be like, you know what? You do your own hair. So when you ask me to go get your hair done by somebody else, absolutely you can. You do your own nails. When you want to once every blue moon go get your nails done by someone else, you absolutely can. I've worked on getting her to do things on her own. I go out and I buy stuff, and I'm like, okay, here, make your own lip gloss, make your own t-shirts, make your own this and make your own that. So she has a mentality of a do-it-yourself. She's always like, I can figure out how to do this. I can figure out how to make that. I just have to continue on giving her the tools to do that. But if one day she says she wants to go and have something done by somebody else, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because she never does. My daughter will be like, when we talk about shoes, she wants Vans. She's like, oh, well, you can give me a pair of Vans. She never asked for expensive Jordans or something like that. Or if she does, it's like as soon as she asks for it, she's like, well, you know what? I don't really need those because I'm not going to wear it. And I'm like, okay, so that's why I want to do so much for her, because she don't really ask for nothing. Like when I really sit down and think about it, because, you get so caught up in how much you do for them. It kind of seems like they ask for stuff. And I remember one time me and her was having a conversation, and she was like, well, I don't ask for these things. You just do them. And I'm like, girl, whatever, da, 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 da. Now that I think about it, she don't ask for it. She don't ask me to do anything for her, actually, other than just basic necessities, or buy like little stuff, little cheap clothes or something like that. Whatever I do for her is because I choose to do for her. So how can I call her spoiled? But anyway, y'all, I just ask that you all reevaluate yourself before you push your ideas and your comments and your things off on other people. So the next time somebody say to me that I'm spoiling my kids or I'm doing too much for my kids, sweetie, be prepared for this conversation, because this is what you're going to get every single time. You goddamn right I spoil my kids. I'm going to continue to spoil, quote unquote spoil. I don't call it spoil, I call it exposing. I'm going to continue to expose my kids to a better life so that they can have the mentality to create one on their own. But anyway, y'all, that is all I have today. Bye. and stop.